All right, let's jump right into this explainer. American cities are going through this massive, literal transformation right now. They are fundamentally re-engineering themselves to become these incredible urban havens for our four-legged family members. So whether you're planning a big cross-country move or honestly just eyeing your next weekend getaway, we're going to break down exactly what separates your standard, run-of-the-mill city from a premier canine destination.
So who actually decides your next vacation? Look, if you're a modern pet owner, you probably already know the answer to this. It's the dog, right? Your dog is often dictating how you travel, what you're doing on your weekends, and honestly, even where you choose to live. And cities? Well, they're catching on to this massive cultural shift. They aren't just tolerating pets anymore, they are actively competing for them. But what actually makes a city stand out in this totally new landscape?
Well, before we hit the road, we really need to define the anatomy of a dog utopia. A genuinely welcoming city requires a highly comprehensive, fully integrated set of amenities. We're talking about infrastructure that is designed specifically with dogs, and obviously their owners, in mind. It goes way, way beyond just having, a simple patch of green grass at the end of the block.
To actually make our top list, a city has to meet a rigorous gold standard of 7 key criteria. And it's not just about the fun leisure stuff, like having numerous off-leash parks or extensive hiking trails, though those are absolutely crucial. It's really about practical integration into your daily life. That means having super reliable access to emergency veterinary care, finding hotels that genuinely welcome pets without a ton of hassle, and living in communities that actively host dog-friendly events, or have patios ready for you both to just relax on.
When we look at the true pioneers of this movement, Portland, Oregon, and Austin, Texas immediately jump out, even though they offer totally different environments. Up in the Pacific Northwest, Portland is consistently ranking at the top because the entire local business culture is built around it. Shops happily provide water bowls and treats while you're out exploring dozens of off-leash parks. Now contrast that with Austin down south. The vibe there shifts to these really laid-back, warm-weather adventures, letting your dog tag along to local breweries and outdoor restaurants practically any day of the year.
And this geographic diversity is just striking. On one hand, you've got San Diego, California, which is an absolute paradise. The climate is incredibly mild, and your pup can just run off leash and splash right in the ocean at designated dog beaches. But then, look at Minneapolis, Minnesota. Despite its famously harsh winters, the city has managed to engineer these fantastic year-round off-leash recreation areas and incredibly resilient lakeside trails. It basically proves that a truly great dog city doesn't rely on just one specific type of perfect weather.
The data here really reveals that there's a regional vibe perfectly tailored to almost any dog's personality. If you have an energetic, active breed, they are gonna absolutely thrive with Denver's unbeatable access to the Rocky Mountains. But maybe you have a more relaxed pup who'd prefer just sitting outside a cozy coffee shop in Seattle before heading out for a mild forest hike. Or if you're looking for that welcoming Appalachian charm with mountain scenery and breweries, Asheville is just a massive draw. Meanwhile, down in Nashville, they are rapidly growing this amazing pet-friendly culture right alongside their outdoor music venues, and Charleston offers all that beautiful southern hospitality with historic streets and waterfront parks.
Moving over to the southwest, Scottsdale, Arizona is a massive favorite for its sunny weather, those gorgeous desert walking paths, and shaded patios that are just perfect during the cooler months. However, navigating these specific environments requires some real awareness. There is a critical environmental warning here. If you're visiting the Southwest, you absolutely unequivocally must protect your dog from dangerously hot pavement during the Arizona summer. Being a responsible pet owner means adapting your daily routine to the actual reality of the environment you're in.
Which brings us to a really vital question. How do we actually turn these dream destinations into reality? Because honestly, identifying the best cities is really only half the equation. To make sure your canine companion travels safely and happily, we need to step out of the fantasy of the perfect vacation and into the practical, day-to-day strategy of getting there.
Preparing for the trip requires a highly specific strategy. Before you even arrive, it is vital to research the local leash laws and confirm the actual hotel and restaurant pet policies, because these vary wildly from city to city. Once you're on the ground, carrying fresh water and managing waste are simply non-negotiable. But here's a pro tip. Perhaps the single most impactful step you can take to dramatically reduce your dog's travel stress is bringing along a piece of home. Packing their regular food, any necessary meds, and especially their familiar bedding makes all the difference in the world when they're in a completely new environment.
But even with the most perfect packing list, there is one ultimate variable, and that is your dog's unique personality. World-class amenities mean absolutely nothing if they just cause your pet a ton of anxiety.
You have to take a step back and evaluate if your dog will genuinely thrive in a bustling, crowded street festival in a place like Nashville, or if they really just require the serene, quiet environment of a secluded forest trail outside Seattle. At the end of the day, your dog's comfort always has to dictate the itinerary.
I think the overarching philosophy here is actually quite simple. As the source material perfectly sums it up, no matter where your adventures take you, a little planning and plenty of treats can help ensure every trip is a tail-wagging success. It really just comes down to combining that careful, thoughtful logistical preparation with a deep, honest understanding of your companion's needs.
So, you now know the top-tier criteria and exactly how to prepare for the reality of the road. But beyond just vacation planning, this data points to a massive systemic shift in how our cities are actually being built. Think about it. If urban spaces are now actively competing to redesign their literal infrastructure around our pets, what is the American city going to look like in 10 years? It's pretty wild to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Safe travels out there.